Britain is fecked. It's absolutely fecked. That is the front of the Sun newspaper today. Let me tell you, honestly, let me just read this from the Daily Mail before we get into it. This is how, if you're waking up, people see where we live. Nervy bond markets spike again as PM hires raft of high-tax fanatics. There's a threat of ID cards for all. Hard left Rayner's ambition, the talk of Westminster, as armed police arrest Father Ted Writer for writing some tweets. Millions are asking, when did Britain become North Bleeding Korea? And I'm not making it up. The Sun, the Mail, every newspaper just outlining where we are at. Whatever you're doing this Wednesday morning, beating, I don't know, through the rain. It's not great weather-wise. This will make you laugh very quickly. Stayed in the hotel across the road last night. Brilliant. They get a message about 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm asleep. Sorry, we've problems with the water. There's no water, which is ironic when I woke up this morning and the water was lashing down outside. Should have put a bucket outside and had a shower on the roof. And then I come downstairs and there's 3 Thames water vans. Honestly, you couldn't write it. It's 6:05. A very good morning to you. Jez in for Mike, 0344 499 1000. The best team in, well, I think British broadcasting are here. Damien is looking the business this morning. We'll take your calls, 0344 499 1000. Christian, the font of all things marvellous. We're going to be doing all sorts of stuff this morning. You can send a voice note, 0344 499 1000. And Mark is looking... well, like Mark does. Brilliant of a morning. So we're joined. I also have to say a very good morning to our paper reviewer. And there's a reason for this, isn't there? Because, well, I love him. Charlie Rowley, good morning.
Good morning,
Twice
Jeremy.
in 4 days, love.
I know, lucky me.
Before I want to just start in a slightly light-hearted way, because we are fecked. The country's on its backside. We had a story today that is frightening to the extreme. This is why I've asked you to come in. I used to work for ITV, as you know. ITV seems to have been caught, as many others, by this fear of upsetting anybody. We've discovered this morning, good on you, gang, there are going to be trigger warnings on ITVX for the Kenneth Williams show. Oh, Metro, yes. What have we come to? Trigger warnings on Kenneth Williams for what? Being camp.
Well,
Trigger warning, Charlie Rowley. Sorry, go on.
It's a description. This man is a national treasure.
Well, he was. He's
comedy he's a comedy genius. Yeah. Those Carry On films are part of British tapestry.
Carry On up the Khyber. Trigger warning.
Exactly. And I just think the idea that they were now slapping on, or ITV in particular, slapping on trigger warnings for what was a great man, a great comedian, a great writer, a great actor who delivered all of those brilliant innuendos and punchlines.
Well, this is what
British humour.
This is what it says. Page 11 of The Current this morning. Kenneth Williams. Oh, Metron, yes. That's so rubbish. Please be aware this contains outdated references and innuendo that some viewers might find offensive. Well, don't bloody watch it then. What? On a serious note, what have we got to?
No, it is ridiculous. And I have to say, this is totally against the grain of what actually I think ordinary, hard-working British people want. And I'm not... this is just off the top of my head. I'm on no commission whatsoever. But if you go to, every year, if you go and see a pantomime...
you can't.
Well,
we don't have dwarfs anymore. There are vertically challenged people.
You're not allowed. But if you go to the Palladium pantomime, I've been there for a few years
Oh,
now.
no, you haven't.
I have.
Yes.
And Julian Clary stars in the pantomimes. And he is full of innuendo, as you'd expect from Julian Clary. And it is on a similar level of Kenneth Williams, and it is no kids basically in the audience. It is basically for the adults, and they love it because this is good British humour.
I think Britain,
is what it's about.
I think with what's going on and the stuff we're going to get into, if you cannot have a gut, if you are saying you can't even laugh nowadays, you are in trouble. If you are offended by us by talking about Kenneth Williams, can you do a Kenneth Williams impression because you are remarkably like him?
I'll show you later on.
Matron, trigger warning. Shut that door. Trigger warning. Oh, my God. 0344 499 1000. Send your text. Are you offended by Kenneth Williams? What about catchphrases as well? Just do it. Come on, go. Oh, Matron, yes.
No, I don't think
No, you've got to. You've got to. Come on. Yeah.
I might slip it out later on.
Trigger warning.
An impression. Thank you very much.
Can we get something, please? Do you want to record me doing it? Trigger warning. Tell me. We'll do it. Tell me when you're ready, and we'll do it. Yeah. Trigger warning. I think we need to do it all morning because I don't want to offend anybody. Do you know what I mean? I mean,
exactly.
You could... No, listen, absolutely. No, you could be offended by the headline on the front of The Sun this morning. Britain is fecked, which is fantastic. Great article by Stephen Moyes and Harry Cole, the editor-at-large, or the large editor in America, as I call him. This is the story about the father Ted writer, Graham Linehan, arrived on Monday night on I think it was an 11-hour flight from Arizona to be met by 5 cops with guns over anti-trans tweets, to the point where everybody's just gone, where are we living? The Daily Mail say it's career. Even Starmer has criticised the Metropolitan Police, Charlie Rowley.
I mean, it's ridiculous. This is, not only is he a comedy writer, a very successful one at that, but who on earth thinks that it's okay? To go up to somebody at an airport, just getting off a plane, as you say, armed, 5 armed guards, police officers there, to arrest somebody for what they've said on Twitter that took place, I think, back in April.
I mean, it is frightening. We all know the story about Lucy Connolly. We know about Alison Pearson from The Telegraph. We know somebody in this building who worked for Times Radio who was visited at home by 6 coppers for writing on a WhatsApp group that he wasn't happy with one of the teachers at his kid's school. It was a parents' WhatsApp group. We've got to a point, haven't we, where average people, everyday people, will look and go, right, so this guy's got an opinion, I might not agree with it. He's put out a tweet, 5 armed police get ready to arrest him, and yet you can run a business, you can have your watch nicked in the high street, you can be mugged or whatever, and no police turn up. And I have no understanding, and Starmer can criticise the Met. Somebody needs to take the Met and these police forces by the throat, trigger warning, don't be upset, and seriously say, the British people, and I don't like to say this, I think it would be fair to say, are losing faith with the police.
Well, I think there are 2 things here. I think, A, it's gaslighting of the British public for the Prime Minister to say that he disagrees with this. I mean, he said that it's an operational matter, but hang about, Prime Minister. Was it not you, just only a year ago, that said that, people jumping on a far-right bandwagon through things that they're putting on Twitter? You've encouraged this kind of activity, point 1. But the second point is that I do think people are having issues with the police, but I'm glad what is in this piece. It's a small line, because obviously the headline speaks for itself and is absolutely to the point. An onlooker seemed to suggest that the police looked a bit sheepish, or a bit they were being quite polite. OK, that's fine, because I can imagine that even if you are, an armed police officer in an airport, you're responding to what you've been told to respond to. So I'm not sure what these 5 officers thought that they were doing, or who they thought they were arresting.
Who has given them the licence to go and do this? Exactly. Where do we get to where people in authority, right, think it's okay? I could read out his tweets. It's too early in the morning. My belief about the country we live in, you might need to get ready with a trigger warning here, is that I could stand face to face with somebody for 20 hours and disagree with them and they disagree with me, and that's our existence. I don't want to fuel hate, but if you're getting to a point where a guy can't... In one post, I'll read this. He says, if a trans-identified male is in a female-only space, he's committing a violent, abusive act, make a scene, call the cops, and if all else fails, kick him in the balls. Right? Trigger warning! Oh, God, Scott, I do apologise. I don't know what to do. Sod it. So what's the clip? So this is true, right? So Starmer, the man who literally turned round last night, and you're right, almost gaslighted us by saying, this is an operational manager, that's my out, but I think this is wrong. I'd have the police by the scruff of the neck. This was him back in July in Scotland. This is him on free speech. Have a listen.
Well, free speech is very important. I don't know if you're referring to any place in particular. Perhaps they are, but...
We've had free speech for a very, very long time here, so we're very proud of that.
Brilliant, yeah. Next to Trump, looking like a... I don't know, trigger warning. It frightens me, actually, genuinely, seriously, for a minute, that the priorities of our police are to arrest... I don't even have to agree with Graham Linehan, or disagree or agree. That's not the point. Lucy Connolly gets jailed for 31 months, right? And yet that vile human being stood on stage in Glastonbury, called for the death of the IDF. And we're not getting into a debate about what's right in the Middle East, but if you're going to have balance, you need to get that balance right, don't you?
Totally. And that's why this issue of 2-tier policing, where you keep hearing about that time and time again, is so relevant. And it's showing. And it's not just one story. As you say, you read out a number earlier on of the police seemingly overstepping their remit, going to people's homes, knocking on their doors, raiding their properties because of a few WhatsApp messages or a few tweets, or because I think one chap, a police officer, said when he had his sort of camera on, that he was reading Douglas Murray and Brexity things, and he had copies of The Spectator, and that was a criticism. And it's a sort of hang about.
I would love to know if these policemen and women believe what they're doing, whether, as you said, they're embarrassed or it comes from on high. And if it comes from on high, is it good enough for our Prime Minister to say it's an operational issue? I'd have those police chiefs in and I'd say, the British public and this government are losing faith in your ability to do this job in the right way. I think it's appalling, and it is a story that will go on and again. Free speech is under attack. What do you make of it? 0344 499 1000. That is the telephone number. Your voice notes are welcome to breakfast. 87222. Start your message with the word talk. Mark's in Croydon. Nice. Jez, while the police are morons for actually dealing with these reports, I wonder who are the half-wits that report people about tweets. Which begs the question, Mark in Croydon, he's absolutely right. Are we paying some moron to sit in police stations and go, oh, I think that's a bit offensive. Oh, trigger warning. We'll go and arrest them. Are the police making these decisions themselves? Is somebody from somewhere else? I'm not trying to be conspiratorial. Are they phoning up people and go, you need to go and get Linehan, he's written something awful?
Well, exactly. And, do you remember that story not so long ago about that shopkeeper in Wales who put up that shop sign that said, he's been shoplifted about 5 times and just called them scumbags? And I thought that the sign would have been as big as this window here, but it was a tiny little sign that said, because of scumbags, I've got to now let you in round the side or whatever.
I beg your pardon. Sorry, could you please? Trigger warning. Matron, round the side. Oh, no.
But he was
Get ready. He's so fruity, Mark. Have your finger on the knob. Oh, my God. Trigger warning. Oh, it's all gone to...
But that shopkeeper, he was the victim. He had been a victim of shoplifting on no less than 5 occasions.
And they broke in his back doors. Trigger warning. You know what? I can't do this. This is not respectful at all, is it?
But you're right. But some member of the public decided to waste police time because they were offended by the word scumbag, and they had to go and visit this chap. Someone is offended by...
the archetypal Karen when you park your car.
Oh, yes,
it happened to me the other day. I went to the supermarket because I've got more kids than Boris Johnson, and I think I had 2 of them. I can't remember. I left the other 4 at home. And you can park in the space that is essentially, it's not disabled. It's the space for... It's wider.
Parents and
I sort of parked the big car that Mrs. Carr has, because I don't have a car, because I'm not very good at driving. And I got them out, and there was a woman stood there. She said, "You're over the line." And you have to sort of remember at that point that you are sort of somewhat in the media spotlight, because you want to go, you might get ready to be, sod off, you unimpressive human being. Trigger warning! And get a life. But you go, oh, I'm sorry. And I got back in the car and reversed it and everything, and it's ludicrous. And you think, what are these people doing with their lives? But you're absolutely right. This is interesting. You might need to get ready. Morning, Norman from Reading. I just remember Starmer saying the famous line, infamy, infamy, they've all got it in for me. Trigger warning! That was delivered by actor Kenneth Williams in the 1964 Carry On Cleo. Great show, we'll miss you in the mornings. Obviously, but don't be so disgusting. The legend's back tomorrow. I'm merely been Mike's fluffer. Glyn's in Rotherham.
Oh, yes.
What a town that is. Why hasn't anybody called for the sacking of the person that authorised this to be arrested? It's a bleeding joke. That's exactly what I think. And Howard's in Suffolk. Yes. Now, this is... I don't want to... You need to be ready here. Do you remember Are You Being Served? Why did I do that? It sounded like Julian Clary. Do you remember Are You Being Served? John Inman. I'm free.
Do you know what?
I'm getting camper by the morning. Mrs. Slocum always used to talk about stroking her pussy. Trigger warning!
I was born in 1990, Jeremy, so it might be slightly before my time.
Can we try,
I've
despite
seen
the
clips?
Yes,
I've seen clips.
Molly Sugden.
Clips I've seen.
Can we try and pull out her pussy? Trigger warning! For goodness sake. I mean, it would be good to get a clip of her pussy, but there we go. So yes, good morning, welcome. So on a serious note, obviously, if you're just waking up and tuning in, we're responding to the trigger warnings that ITV have put on Kenneth Williams, ITV an audience with, in case you're offended by any innuendo or him going, oh, matron, yeah. We've got a trigger warning this morning because we don't want to offend. And we look at the front of the Sun, and Britain is in an outrageously bad position. And just, if I take it on a more serious note, financially, the cost of borrowing, front page of the Times, reaches a 27-year high. And if you were looking at the outside or waking up this morning, queuing, going to work, whatever, we've got no money. Taxation is certainly going to be increased. We seem to let anybody in who's not vetted to have a greater choice of the things that we're paying for than ourselves. We can't speak about things that we might want to speak about for fear of being incarcerated, but if we dare to criticise people who we feel shouldn't be here, we'll also be incarcerated. And you end up thinking, There's crime everywhere, rife. And you end up thinking, what has become of the United Kingdom? How did we get to this point? I don't like the Labour government, but we had 14 years of Tories, and it started with Theresa May getting rid of the police numbers that they did. It started with the Tories cutting defence spending. And I find us as a nation, it's becoming embarrassing, Charlie. Genuinely true story.
Yeah, and I think, look, you know, the downfall of the Tories after that, all of those periods in office, you know, under successive prime ministers, I think having too many people, the chopping and changing, the the internal politics of the Tory party obviously dominated, you know, and it was just inward-looking and self-defeating, and the electorate gave them rightly a good kicking. But you can't. I don't think, well, just when people thought, well, it can't get any worse.
But it has.
It has. And that is because of everything that you've just said. You know, Labour spent months saying, we're not going to raise national insurance contributions. They then raised national insurance contributions. They said they're going to save money on your energy bills. Your energy bills have gone up. Crime is up. Illegal immigration is up. Shoplifting, as you talked about earlier on, is up. You know, they said they were going to stop the strikes. We've seen more strikes, even despite the big public sector handouts. We're now seeing borrowing costs up, and your taxes in the autumn are going to go up again. This is self-inflicted by a Labour government that's been in for just over a year. And as I say, just when people thought it couldn't get any worse, it clearly has. And now you can't even criticise the government, it seems, or criticise anyone without the police turning up at your front door.
It's absolute. I mean, I fully expect the police. I mean, I said it yesterday when Nigel Farage stood up last week and did his deportation speech in front of that massive flag and that aircraft hangar in Oxford. I fully expected the police to arrive and rip the flag down. If you are waking up, what do you make of this country? On the front of the Sun, Britain is fecked. I will repeat what it says on the front of the Daily Mail. Nervy bond market strike again. Highest cost of borrowing in 27 years. The PM is definitely going to raise taxes. He's got a high tax fanatics that he's brought into number 10. And the armed police yesterday arresting Father Ted writer Graham Linehan for writing a tweet that they apparently didn't like. The world's gone barking mad. Jez, Charlie Rowley is by far my favourite talk commentator. He's a very nice man, a very nice man, a very, very nice man. As for ITV, another nail in their coffin. Leave our carry-on films alone. And that's from your dad. So that's a lovely, lovely message there. Do you know Peter Stone?
No, not yet. There's still time.
Trigger warning. Yes, I do. Yes. Oh, dear. Alison's in South Wales. Morning, Jess. There's no way that an arrest warrant should have been issued for Graham Linehan, but the reason he wrote was probably because he'd been aware of problems for women who find themselves scared. Where's the arrest warrant for a man who still has his testicles, who has absolutely no intention of going through gender reassignment, being in a supposedly safe space? Why are we not being protected? And there's the argument. I'm not going to get embroiled in it, but I've got teenage daughters. I don't care if you are transitioning. I don't care your lifestyle, but if we are not allowed to say about a teenage girl who might be in a position that's vulnerable without being attacked left, right and centre, what does it say? Charles has got it right. He's in Thailand. I wonder... No, Joe, obviously, Joe. Is Only Fools and Horses going to have a trigger warning? Will it mean no more broom jokes? What do we mean broom jokes? Oh, it's got trigger. Sorry.
I thought it had, yes.
Dave says... you can't hear him, obviously it doesn't really work, but Dave says it's already got trigger warnings.
I thought it did.
Mark, I'm only joking, yes. Sean's in... I don't know why I keep calling you Dave. Sean's in Norfolk. Good morning, JK. The police have lost the consent of the British public. Would you... I mean... Well, growing up, I would never have thought I'd say that.
No, and that...
Will I be arrested for saying that?
Well, yes. No, and that is absolutely right, because we do police by consenting in this country. That is the point. And that's where, the whole appeal is... it started out, Robert Peel, and all the rest of it. That's where our police... But we've got police and crime commissioners who are democratically elected people in this country. They are the ones that should be drafting up what are the people's priorities for their local area and holding police chiefs to the account. And during all of these examples that we've talked about, I've not heard a single police and crime commissioner, potentially because he was forced to come out.
Or she. Trigger warning! Sorry, I don't mean to be rude.
No, well, the example I was getting was Roger Hurst in Essex. He had to be sort of forced to the table to talk about things that are happening in Essex. But I haven't heard from a single police and crime commissioner criticising their own police forces when things like this go wrong. So and I like the police and crime commissioners. I thought they were a good idea. I mean, it took me a while to come around to them, but now that they're here, I think it's right to have someone to say to the police chiefs, who for too long might have been getting this stuff wrong, to say, hang about, why did you go to that person?
Hold them to account.
Hold them to account.
If you are waking up on this wet Wednesday, welcome to Morning Glory. JK for MG for one more morning. The front of the Sun says Britain is fecked. ID cards. I mean, honest to God, you can't speak out. Taxation on the way. It's almost like we have woken up in North Korea. And being honest, if I look through the glass, there's one or two who do look like Kim Jong-un. Back in 3. Good morning, my friends. 6:26, you with Morning Glory on Talk, the home of free speech. Remember that, and common sense. You're waking up to the news that Britain, I mean, quite seriously, front of the sun, is fecked. Your ID cards, high taxation, and Graham Linehan, who wrote, of course, Father Ted, arrested publicly at an airport by 5 gun-wielding cops because he dared to write a tweet. The world's gone nuts. And we also woke up to the story this morning that ITV have decided to issue a trigger warning on Kenneth Williams. Trigger warning! Does an ITV show an audience with from about 140 years ago, and they're concerned that people might get PTSD. So we have got Mark's finger on the knob all morning because we don't want to upset anybody. So please be aware. Charlie Rowley is here doing the papers. It is frightening, but here's the best line that Christian's just given me. Number 10 yesterday, phase 2. Well, because phase 1 was crap, I've no idea. Anyway, phase 2's upon us, and number 10 has a new mantra. You can't... Trigger warning! You cannot make this up. Their mantra is, growth people feel in their pockets. I mean, speak to me. Oh, yes. Don't stop. But I mean, honestly, how ridiculous is that?
Well, it's...
growth people feel in their pockets.
I know.
He doesn't know what to say.
It's just...
Brilliant. Honestly, it's like he's got a mouthful. Nan's in Wales. Morning, Jez. If they want to pursue arresting people for tweets and free speech restrictions, then let's have the names and reasons of the complainant. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. I absolutely agree with that, actually. I feel, I've said this before. When people make accusations which turn out to be ill-founded, maybe to a celebrity or a sports person, and it tends to be fabricated and that person gets off, their lives been all over the newspapers, and the persons who made that complaint, who's fabricated that, right, gets away scot-free. I think she's got a really good point there. This is interesting as well from Gertie. Morning, Kyle. Morning, Gertie. Sorry, Kyle. If the creator Father Ted tweeted something bad about far-right or the Jews, he wouldn't have got arrested. So anyone who is a lefty can say what the hell they like. Vile and disgusting, while those on the left who say things like cutting the throats and killing the IDF, that's that what was he called? Bob Vilan or...
Bob Vilan.
Vilan,
whatever he is.
Glastonbury going death to the IDF. He said that and nothing happened to him at all. Two-tier again.
Totally. And it seems to me that you're able to go to central London, you go to Westminster, you can put up, the chants of some river to the sea, which they did in central London, these pro-Palestinian protesters back in the day. It seems to me that you can get away with things if you are supposedly the compassionate, punching up for the minority sort of group of people if you are on the left. But if you dare say what is basic common sense, which is, and if you are paid as a comedy writer to make a bit of a punchy point, and it's punchy because of the punchline actually involves punching a man.
You can't punch a man. Sorry. Don't want to upset anybody. If you're a man waking up, I know, if you're a man waking up this morning and you feel threatened by what's just been said by Charlie Rowley, get a sense of humour.
Exactly. But, the police come down on you like a ton of hot bricks.
A ton of hot bricks? Sorry, hot bricks are what people have put on their backs when they're having a massage in Thailand, don't they? Trigger warning! Goodness sake. Sharon, talk. We have not lost respect for the police. We've lost trust. We no longer see them as those who are there to help us, but they are becoming like people who want to control us. That's an interesting insight.
Yeah, totally. And, as you say, can you imagine waking up with, 5 officers outside your front door, or going to... When you go to an airport anyway, as this poor chap has, has come back from, you get sort of, you have to take off your shoes, your belt, you get sort of, frisked, and, that's the only reason I turn up.
Trigger warning!
I don't even have a ticket.
This is more camp than a row of tents. Pauline Crew, a very good morning. Jez, 5 police officers for a comedy writer's tweet, whereas this is genuine. This tells you something. Whereas when I wanted to help deal with a neighbour who was smoking weed constantly, unable to open my children's bedroom windows due to the horrendous smell, nothing. In fact, when I threatened that I was going to take it into my own hands, the police were quick to warn me of the consequences. In my mind, says Pauline Crew, it's all upside down. Police adjusting tax and benefits. UK is done in his mind, and that's what's frightening. And we're not just peddling, when the front of the Daily Mail says When did Britain become North Korea? Let's move on to this other thing, which is, again, I'd love your take on this. Labour want ID cards for all. Just put some meat on the bone. Don't push that button. Just explain to me the theory behind their big idea, page 10 and 11 of the... Blair wanted them years ago. Now, as Macron demands action, why are we listening to the French? PM does a U-turn. What's the idea behind an ID card?
So I think this is something that Tony Blair, obviously back in the day, he was very pro ID cards, and I think their whole excuse me point is that if you have an ID card, then you are obviously a bit like a pass, but it becomes your ID, it becomes your national ID.
Yep.
So it is in effect someone who can have all their identification. You can, but it's effectively showing your papers.
Yeah.
And that is why it's been so opposed for so long. Civil liberties groups have opposed it because it has all your information in one place that can be targeted by foreign and bad actors that can target it. But the idea is that if you have an ID card, then of course if you come here illegally and you don't have an ID card and it allows you to work, or it looks at all your status, whether you've got pre-settled status, whether you've got a right to remain and all of that nonsense, that all needs to be streamlined down by
It's really interesting, this, and I might go against what people might think. There's a part of me that thinks it's absolutely wrong, but there's also a part of me where we're at in terms of migrants and not knowing who the hell's in our country who says, well, actually, isn't that right? But people will say, how are you arguing that when you're arguing for free speech? I don't know. If we're going... For me, the whole migrant situation is if we're going to do something, we need to do something a bit, not drastic, but we need to take action. I'd be happy to swallow that if it could control the people. Trigger warning! Oh, sorry, I do apologise. I'd be happy to... sorry, I do. I don't... Sorry, I nearly choked on that. I don't. Honestly, the whole show is going to be no. I want to control and find out who's in our country, and I'm not saying I'm massively into the idea of it, but what I don't like is being told what to do by the French. Well, we're giving you 500 million quid. Why don't you print them for us or something? Why don't you stop less boats coming?
Quite right. But also, it's not even addressing, I don't think, the real issue, which is getting the numbers down.
Yeah.
It is I mean, everyone can have an ID card, fine. If people come in from this country, as they currently do, it seems to me, in a small boat, if you then have to be processed, if those applications are approved, because it seems to me too difficult to say no to someone rather than, yes, actually, you're here now, you may as well, here's an ID card, you may as well work. Well, the numbers just keep going up. So it's not just about stopping people coming in illegally and legally, it's trying to get those numbers down. So I'm not entirely sure what ID cards, have to do with it. You stop the pull factor, have the deterrence, bring back Rwanda or something like to make sure that anybody that comes into this country illegally will be deported. So that stops that pull factor. But people that do apply and want to make a success of Britain and contribute and integrate and live in the UK and
respect this country,
others, then of course, you
couldn't have put it better myself. What do you make of that? ID cards, yay or nay? 0344 499 1000. A voice note. What do you make of trigger warnings for Kenneth Williams' ITV show? Is Britain fecked? Are we turning into North Korea? Our incompetent government, says Mick, has allowed the far left civil service and judiciary to destroy my once great country. Once democracy is gone, says Mick, are we ever going to get it back? Dave's in Essex. I don't know why I said that. Dave's in Essex. Hey. The cost of borrowing is at a 27-year high. Last time was in 1998. Do you know who the government were in 1998? The Labour government. I did say during the election campaign, in between being told to not sort of, we have to broadcast in a certain way. In my mind, the Labour Party has always had one policy and one policy only, which is to offer money to anybody by taxing anybody that's made anything of their lives. Aspiration out the window. When they do that, the country ends up bankrupt because every uni wants a 30% pay increase. You weren't even alive. I remember 1979. Andy's in Mansfield. Have you been to Mansfield?
Not knowing.
You might go. You're winding Charlie up too much, Jezza. He's a very nice man. He's not the Messiah. He's just a very naughty boy. Trigger warning. Do you remember that film?
No.
Monty Python's Life of No.
I haven't lived.
What film would you remember? If I said to you, remember the first film you saw? Confessions? No.
The first film I saw, well, it would have been a Disney, wouldn't it? Which also now has trigger warnings attached to it. Disney, Roald Dahl, all of those.
Roald Dahl?
Roald Dahl? Have I said that right?
Roald Dahl, have you? I've never Roald Dahl. Oh, there we go. Morning, Jez. Paul from Hartley, Paul. When Two-Tier said to Trump, we have free speech for a long time, what he failed to add was for now, as I'm going to put a stop to it. Couldn't agree more. It's 25 to 7. If you're waking up, I don't want to upset you. It's pouring with rain across the country. The wind is blowing. We're approaching North Korea in terms of the fact we're going to have ID cards, high taxation. You can't say what you feel. Angela Rayner is doing whatever Angela Rayner's doing. Will probably be the next Prime Minister. And as I say, if you say anything, you could be arrested. But anyway, it's Wednesday. What could be more exciting than that? But just remember this. There's going to be a trigger warning throughout the morning on Morning Glory because we don't want to offend any of those boring buggers. Oh, sorry, I've said it now.
Trigger warning!
I'm back in 3. Too much. The Queen of Westminster back from 10 o'clock, Julia Hartley-Brewer. This is JK on Morning Glory. On the day that the Sun writes, we're fecked. We're fecked. ID cards, high taxation, you can't say what you want, the world's gone nuts. There's a story I'm going to do later, right, of an illegal migrant from Somalia who is begging the Home Office to send him back to Somalia because he says it's safer than Nuneaton. What's just gone on? Oh, sorry. Now, bear in mind, we're trying to be respectful this morning. There's been a trigger warning from ITV on Kenneth Williams, his audience with from 50 years ago, in case you feel offended. And also that poor man, Father Ted writer, Graham Linehan, arrested for having a comment about the trans situation. Liam on voice note, good morning.
Morning, Jez. Liam from Kent. Not such a happy message this morning. What country are we living in? The producer of Father Ted. Oh, my God. What a legend that man is. And you're going to arrest him over things he put on Twitter. I thought this was a free country where we had freedom of speech. Honestly, I'm starting to get sick and tired of this. Absolutely. It's just... oh, it's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
And you know what? Actually, Charlie Rowley, Liam, I think, would speak for many people. We can joke and mess around, but the truth of the matter is, without getting too deep, it is quite frightening what's becoming of our country. It is.
Totally. You know, in a country that has been the example of many others across the world, where we should have a free press, free speech, democracy, democratisation, where you're able, as a private citizen, to say, hang on, I don't think something's right, and I'm going to say what I think about that.
I'm not getting involved in what Graham Linehan said, but let's do it again on this station and on this show. That Bob Vylan stood on stage at Glastonbury and shouted, death, death to the IDF, right? I'm not taking any sides, but if you can say that and you can't put, I've got concerns about this argument, one side gets arrested, the other doesn't. That is not fair. Margaret's in Yorkshire. Just, could we have a trigger warning every time Mr Starmer or one of his MPs comes on the TV? I just turn it off because you might be traumatised. Jez, it's always a pleasure to wake up and see Charlie Rowley on Talk. I don't know why I've done that impression at all. Reeves and Starmer just keep ruining the UK economy. We have the highest borrowing costs in 27 years. Why are these two useless idiots still in their jobs? When Truss and her Chancellor caused less turmoil to our economy, they were kicked out of their job within 42 days. Why can't we do the same for Starmer and Reeves? Really interesting question to you, Charlie, because borrowing at a 27-year high. People are saying the bond market is in danger of collapsing and that we will have to go, you know, cap in hand to the IMF, which is never a great thing at all. So if Liz Truss, who has been ridiculed and humiliated, was thrown out, how are these two hapless fools carrying on? Genuine question.
Well, that will be the question, and that's what many people will be asking, because it's just, you know, Liz... the criticism against Liz is that she went too far, too fast, and she didn't do the politics.
You're saying she went too far.
Trigger warning!
Yeah, too fast. I mean, you're being disrespectful to her, aren't you? You're making out that she's some sort of harlot.
But, well, what you need to do, you need to bring people with you. You need to bring people on your side.
You need to pull people with you.
Yes. And, you know, she didn't do that. She didn't do the hard yard...
Trigger warning!
The hard graft of, you know... And so people sort of, you know, people just turned over and turned against her.
Honestly, this is more camp than Rev Tents. Paul's in Manchester, ID cards. Hey, I wonder how long it would take criminals to forge them. That's a good point. I already have a citizenship card and have never been asked to show it. I agree wholeheartedly with ID cards. Them that are against them must have something to hide. I think you need to go back to school. Then we're against them, all right? How's it going, right? No, I'm joking. This is a story in The Sun, page 9. This is an idea for housing migrants. Channel migrants could be accommodated in warehouses to accelerate the end of the costly use of hotels. Digital ID to curb small boat arrivals working illegally was also being minded, as we've talked about last night. Warehouses. You used a phrase earlier about the pull of the United Kingdom. And for me, people talk about a deterrent. We've talked about Rwanda, how slow the Tories were to bring it in. For me, if the opportunity to come here is too easy, and if when you get here you know you're going to be treated better than any other country, you're going to keep coming, aren't you? And you know, people will go, oh, you can't put these poor people in warehouses. I wouldn't even build warehouses. I would build a detention centre, billets, and I'm being completely honest. My suggestion was Orkney, no disrespect to Orkney, because I believe that you're then sending a message to people that we're not going to wipe your backside, and actually that then filters back to the countries these people are coming from. But I saw somebody, I don't know, on television yesterday, the corner of my eye, and they're literally going, but these people are being persecuted. I don't know where these people come from that say that.
No, I
genuinely mean that. I'm not being racist or horrible or help anybody. How can somebody with a straight face go on television and say, these are refugees, these people are being persecuted? No, they're dropping their passports in the Channel. They're not bringing their wives and kids. They haven't stopped in the first country that doesn't have conflict. They're coming here, not because they speak English, but because we are a soft touch, aren't we?
Exactly. And, you know, look, I have nothing against Eritrea.
Neither
I've
have I.
never been, but it's, you know, one of the top 3 countries where people come from. But that is a far away place where somebody has had to come from and gone through several countries just to get to the UK. And there's a reason why people want to come to the UK and not stop off anywhere else, is because we are that soft touch. And as you say, I think it's just, it is about fairness. The British people are inherently fair, and the debate isn't about stopping people who need to come into the country come over. We opened up our hearts and our homes to people of Ukraine, and that was the absolutely right thing to do, and we do it again tomorrow.
Of course we do.
And we do
when it's fair. That is such a good word.
But it is when people are taking us for an absolute ride, and coming in illegally, and they are economic migrants, they are not refugees, that's when people have to stand up and say, look, we need to address this balance to make sure that it's fair, because what you end up doing then, I'm afraid, is vilifying the very people that are in genuine need. And that's where the conversation has got so murky. But it's only because of people that go on television or radio day after day and say that they are all in need. They are not. That is not right.
Do you know what I want to say to those people? Yes, fine. And the people that come to this country and embrace it and be part of it and respect it and pay their taxes, fantastic. But why do those very people that go, they're in need, do they not go out of the M25 bubble? They will always say to me, but people in Britain aren't in need. Well, go north and find out. They're not in Eritrea, but they are in need. They're struggling with food and electricity and the madness of what this country is becoming, and they're barely able to meet their costs, but they do that. They don't ask for a handout. This isn't this isn't made up. This is factual.
And what really got me last night, funny enough, is
trigger warning. Oh dear.
It was what I think will incense a lot of people, and we're talking about the ITV trigger warnings. It happened to be on ITV, but it was a story about a young man that has sadly taken his own life. He served 2 tours of Afghanistan, and he had sort of PTSD from his time out there. He'd suffered homelessness, he'd suffered drug addiction. His mother set up a charity to help other people, and she was so heartbroken that she couldn't help her own son that had gone through some of the issues she'd gone. But where was the state support for him? What was he doing sleeping rough? What was he doing? When we've got hotels that have been filled.
And where are all
people...
those lefties about him? Why are they not talking about that young boy who took his own life having given his time? Why are they not talking about the veterans on the streets? Why are they not talking about the girls on Bournemouth Beach, that revolting immigrants allowed to stay, who put his hands down the back of that girl's trousers and the judge went, oh, it's an aberration, he's had a bad upbringing? Stop disrespecting the people in this country who never ask for anything, who never break the law, who never expect anything more than to live their lives correctly. Because here's the point, and this is why Farage has grabbed the ear of the British public. Those people are simply saying, and you're great with that word, fairness. We've always done the right thing. We've always tried to do the right thing. But the truth is right now, we're doing the right thing, everybody else is getting more, and we're at the back of the queue. It's not fair. Are we going to a break? On a rant, this is Morning Glory. Good morning. Morning glory for Wednesday. It's a wet Wednesday. We're live across the United Kingdom. JK for MG. He's in the air. He's on his way back to save us. Tomorrow he'll be here from 6. You've only got me till 10. Charlie Rowley on the paper review. We've had it all this morning. Britain's fecked. Yes, you heard me right. Front of the Sun. We've got ID cards, the highest cost of borrowing in 27 years. We've got a government with the lowest recorded popularity in the history of polls. All of that. And if you write something that the police don't like, they'll arrest you, as they did with the Father Ted guy. But don't fret, dears. ITV issued a trigger warning for ITV's show Kenneth Williams, an audience with from 40 years ago. Basically, they're saying, if anything upsets you at all, if you're feeling a little bit nauseous, if things upset you, we are here for you. And we've decided to implement that across the show today. And if anything, if there's any innuendo at all, we are going to just issue this sound so that trigger warning! Okay, just so you feel okay. I'm going to try you. Oh, what?
Take me to lunch first.
Trigger warning! I'm going to try you with some trigger warnings, okay? You get ready. Elaine first, trigger warnings. Trigger warning! Elaine?
Morning, Jezza. I love all the old comedies. Every time they come on, they've got this bloody trigger warning. You know, I love it. Rigsby, On the Buses, George and Mildred. I love them. And they have to put this bloody trigger warning on. What's it coming to, eh? Anyway, have a nice day. Bye for now.
Trigger warning! She doesn't sound very happy, does she? Right, let's come some phrases, because Kenneth Williams was, yes. Let's see how good you are on television. Turn yourself into a TV critic. Lovely jubbly.
Yes, it is. I don't know.
You don't know Only Fools and Horses?
I'm afraid I don't.
Oh,
I know.
God.
I haven't lived.
Here's one I made earlier.
Well, that did sound a bit Jongingham.
John who?
Jongingham, have I said that right?
Blue Peter.
Oh, well, close enough.
No. How you doing?
Joey from Friends.
Joey. Brilliant. Don't mark. Gladiators ready!
Yes. Now, that was the referee in the Gladiators
well done,
series.
yes.
Yep. You will go on my first whistle. There you are. That was an impression.
Trigger warning!
Was that good?
Did you do that again?
No.
No. I am a faithful.
Oh.
Traitors?
No.
Get out of my pub!
Barbara Windsor or Pat Butcher or whoever was running the Old Vic at the time in EastEnders.
Well done.
There you go.
And
Yep.
Trigger warning! I don't know what to do about this. I'm not doing that. Whose name's on the wall? Get off my stage!
Oh, well, you can get arrested for that, I should
Yes,
imagine.
I think you should.
Yes.
Right, anyway, now this is an extraordinary story, page 6 of The Sun. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not made up. There is no need for a trigger warning. Yesterday, Zach Polanski, no relation to Roman Polanski, a Green Assembly member in the London thing, he was elected by a landslide as the new Greens leader, Zach Polanski. Yes, this is the party that wants to charge everybody about 100% tax. Anyway, he used to be a hypnotherapist. Have you ever been to a hypnotherapist?
No, I haven't. No.
He used to be a hypnotherapist. He's apologised for this, but this is everywhere. He used to say to women, dream your boobs bigger. Trigger warning! So, I don't want to upset anybody. There's a couple of people through the glass whose tits need shrinking. I'm just being honest. But he literally used to say, dream your boobs bigger. And that's the new boss of the Green Party. It's going to follow him around, isn't it?
You know, and this is Britain's politics 2025. You're welcome. And,
Nothing to say.
Good luck.
No relation to Roman Polanski, though. Also, I want to talk about very, very quickly. Cash. Am I old-fashioned? I still carry cash, but we are heading towards a cashless society. What are your thoughts on that, Charlie?
No, I think we need to keep cash. I think we need to protect it. I think there are lots of people that still use cash, particularly elderly folk. And I just think I think when you lose something like, your currency.
Yeah.
Not just physically. I think you lose your currency in the world. The Great British Pound, I think should be maintained.
Why are you keeping... Do you know what's happening now? He's absolutely, every time he opens his mouth, he looks round to make sure that he hasn't put his foot in it. Good morning to John in Rugby, or he could be called John Rugby. I would have stood shoulder to shoulder with a copper, but now I wouldn't raise a finger to help one. I look the other way and walk on. What the hell has my country become? Good morning to Elsbells, I hope that's right, in Shropshire. Get rid of these police and crime commissioners, police colleagues and PCSOs, and let's try having a police force, not a service, run by a bunch of has-beens, and perhaps they can do their bleeding job without fear or favour. Interesting. Paul, you're right about us becoming like North Korea, Jez. I'll probably have to eat my dog before the next election. Well, there's a trigger warning. Yeah. Gary's in Bolton. The highest court in the land ruled that a man in a dress is illegally entering a woman's safe space. Trigger warning! True, though, the police are going against the law. I've read that, so if I read it again, I'd look really bad. JK, Labour have dragged this country to an embarrassing black hole. Could be worse, though. Imagine if Zach Polanski, leader of the Greens, was in charge with the huge welcome to Britain. Please come to Britain, says Roger Hounslow, and I'll make your boobs bigger. I mean, can you imagine on the internet? Do you think he'll be invited, by the way, to the as he's the leader of the Greens? Here's a question: will he be invited to the banquet? Do you think Starmer will have him? Because I reckon the Greens are going to side with Jezbollah. And also be a pain in the backside for Starmer. I genuinely do. Yeah. Well, this Jack Polanski has already opened the door to some sort of deal or some sort of cooperation with Jeremy Corbyn. He's praised Jeremy Corbyn and likes his policies. So, you know, you never know what's going to happen there. But I think given Nigel Farage has not been invited to the banquet. Yeah, but we were talking about this yesterday when you weren't here, and it wasn't the same without you. I think, and a lot of people watching this show think, that what will happen is that Trump will insist that Farage is there, or get out of the Beast, or out of Air Force One with Farage next to him. You can just imagine Nigel Farage pulling that off, can't you? Trigger warning! You know, honestly, it's going to be... if you're waking up this morning and you're wondering what it's all about, there have been trigger warnings issued today by ITV, that fabulous company, ITV. They've issued a trigger warning on Kenneth Williams. We'll finish the hour as we started it. The man who used to say, oh, matron, oh, you can't say anything nowadays. On his audience with... This isn't like, you know, this isn't a carry-on film. Barbara Windsor in suspenders, you can't say that. It says about his show, this contains outdated references and innuendo that some of our viewers might find offensive. Jethro, who's no longer with us, was a great comedian, and he used to finish every night with this. He used to say, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed tonight, and if I've said the occasional word that's upset you, it's only been as a bit of fun. I hope you've taken it in that way. If you have taken it seriously and you've been offended, sod off and don't come back to watch. Trigger warning! But it's true, isn't it? Where do we draw the line and say to the British people, make your own minds up? What you watch, what you think, what you say... Graham Linehan, was he out to offend? It's his opinion, man. Exactly. And, you know, what is wrong with just going back to the good old-fashioned basics of if you don't like what you see, you can change on the telly, you can change the channel. No one's asking you to sit through it. No one's. But the idea that, you know, great British comedy, like Kenneth Williams, is a trigger warning. I mean, I know we've tried our best at innuendo this evening. Well, I've tried to slip one in. This morning. Tried to slip one in, dirty boy. You do realise, by the way, as we head to the news at 7, Charlie Rowley will be back next week, and he's going to be appearing on Drive now in a new feature called Dear Charlie. Number 10's new mantra as they enter phase 2. This is genuinely true if you're waking up. Their new mantra is growth people feel in their pockets. Trigger warning! I think that just sums up the whole hour, actually. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's been lovely seeing you, looking so fresh and beautiful in your trainers. Oh, what are you off to do now? Something I told you in confidence. Well, there you go.